ever been super deep in a Magic setting and just thought, man, I wish I could play Cyberpunk? Not like the game Cyberpunk, I'm talking like the genre. Well, good news, there's a group for that, because today we're going to talk about Iteration X, the engineers for the Technocracy, the people that took Daft Punk's Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger as fully literally, and another group if you want to like Terminator someone. I'm saying that you want to do it so much, you turn it into a verb, because the Technocracy has Terminators, and Iteration X, that's like their main shit. Speaking of upgrading technology, NordVPN, I have an affiliate link, click it. Iteration X's entire thing is about the advancement of humanity, as in we want to modify humanity to become great. They're all about full techno magic. They got the cool laser beams, the robot parts, all the cool gadgets and gizmos you can get from the Technocracy come from these guys. It is like the core of their philosophy. They believe that the next huge leap that you can make is transhumanism. You need to advance yourself technologically to find some next state of being, next stage of evolution. It's going to come artificially. And they also come from just a long line of engineers, artificers, crafters, which this isn't even like there's a central proto-Iteration X group. There's not some organized faction. It's just the fact that the practice of making things is really ubiquitous. The two main hubs, like early on for whatever the proto-Iteration X was, is in Greece and China, which makes a lot of sense because those were two ancient cultures that did a lot. Here's a fun fact just on the Greece side. Daedalus, real dude. He actually was one of the founders of the Order of Reason, and all of that shit with him and the Greek myths, true. He made a maze. It's actually because there's a fun overlap with the Toreador lore, because King Minos was apparently a Toreador vampire, and then King Minos' kid, largely because of the Toreador antediluvian, fell to the white and became the Minotaur. Daedalus and his son Icarus did have wings that they tried to fly away in, and the theory is that Icarus's wings did not melt because of the sun. It melted because of paradox backlash. Just a fun little character mention, but largely that's their history. It's just the people that made big developments in human history were at least involved with this magical tradition. And like magic as like a thing, broad strokes, is imposing one's will on the universe. So what is the best expression of imposing your will than creating something? Though eventually they get set up in Rome. It is here that I want to pause and really make sure something is clear, because I don't blame people for getting this mixed up. Sometimes I do. World of Darkness is a secret world setting. The actual like population of magical things is really tiny. There's never been an exact number, but the way I've seen it pictured and I enjoy is like the amount of mages that exist in our multi-billion person world is like a single-digit percentage. It's really tiny. And with the Technocracy being a thing, and the Technocracy existing as, oh yeah, by the way, science is magic, as in whatever device you're using to watch this video now, your computer, your phone, what is the actual difference between that and a crystal ball? That's the argument World of Darkness kind of makes. Oh, you got a funny green rock and you put some runes on it, and now you're watching my video that I made in the past for you, and I see you watching this. What am I, in your second tab? You're playing a video game of some form? I've done that a lot. I can't blame you. No judgment. That's how I watch YouTube. I just like play Warframe and watch YouTube like that. But it really can lend itself to the idea that we're on like the Ancient Aliens TV show-esque timeline. I don't know if you guys saw this video. It's very good. Which is basically stated, if you believe all of what they say, that humans did literally nothing until like the end of World War II. And it gives that perspective. It gives the perspective that the Technocracy have done basically everything, or other mages have done everything, when that's really not the case. Humans in World of Darkness still did things. There are human beings, no supernatural ability, that definitely made big technological advancements. The difference is that some parts were definitely introduced by mages. There's a really good example just coming up, computers. Importantly, this isn't how you introduce things into reality anyways. You can't just show up with like a full working phone and be like, hell yeah, let's introduce this to reality. There actually is a fun thing mentioned in the 20th book called the shit factor, which is when you're introducing things to the masses. They're not going to believe it if it's too much of a tech jump or it works like too well. Because at that point, you're like, you're lying to me. Here's a funny contemporary example. I don't know if you guys have been following the game development of Crimson Desert. This is a game that looks sick, but it gives off that vibe of this can't be right. You're lying. You have to be lying. Which also, fun fact, because I follow it, they're not, apparently. The game just runs well because they've spent a fuck ton of time on optimization, and it's an insanely open world type fantasy game where you can chain grapple like you're in Tekken. It rules. I hope that doesn't age poorly. But it is like if you tried to introduce flying cars now, it'd be really weird. But if you introduce automatic driving cars, and then you introduce some kind of early version of like easy propulsion systems and so on, so on, so on, that makes way more sense. And a way it really seems to be when it comes to Technocracy, Iteration X, how they introduce things to humanity. They work on some like proto thing, and it's way more advanced than what we see. This information can then be drip fed to the masses. A really easy way they do this is they have people in their net that either know of the supernatural or straight up don't. They might believe at first that they fully invented something, but later on, like, all the advancements we got on like computers as a great example, that is humans. Humans did that. Iteration X though, they did actually help create the first computer. I am jumping in history up to the 1800s, mainly because nothing fucking happens for them. I'll be super real, Iteration X has the smoothest history. They have like such little actual friction, unlike many of the other traditions where they had to struggle, they were treated poorly. Nah man, people have always been making shit. We need new shit. Some of you might already know this, like the first computer, the difference engine, like 1820. Yeah, the guy who made it was a fucking mage. It's like Alan Turing, he was also a mage. But the difference engine is like old version, was like a product made by the Order of Reason. It just then later on, it split. I think is the best way to put it. The tech split as humans still iterated on this early design, making like what we have now. Meanwhile, the Technocracy already made some big strides. In Iteration X, they had like a different name of the difference engineers, which then later became the Iteration X. There's a lot of like, they had a name for 100 years and it split. It doesn't matter. They went from this early computer right to artificial intelligence, like right away. And you know what? They did it. They actually made one. It's called a computer. Computer is a fully sentient being that, depending on what edition you're playing with, it is either a fully sentient artificial intelligence, like a full AI, or it is some spirit from the Umbra that possessed its machine body. Computer lives in a place known as Autochthonia, which is a horizon construct. It is a dimension that they made in the Umbra. Computer fully led Iteration X. They did whatever it said because it was super intelligent. It told them things like, don't invest in dimensional science, don't do these things. And they were like, yes sir, computer, whatever you say. Until the Avatar Storm, or the dimensional anomaly. And it cut off a lot of umbral travel. This sucks, because current Technocracy is cut off from like their managers, basically. All the higher ups, they can't talk to anymore. Even worse for Iteration X, their literal leader is cut off from them. And that's not even the worst bit. This is actually really funny, and I'll get into it when I talk about the Void Engineers more. This is something known as Threat Null, which is something the Void Engineers hide. They don't want people to know about this shit, because people sometimes come back and they're just different. They have been warped and changed, and they're now an extreme version of whatever paradigm they fall into. This is a way, really clearly, to make a villain for the Technocracy that's not just a innocent mage party. Because the one for Iteration X are known as the Autopolitians, and they are full-on machine-human hybrids for computer, and what do they want to do? Make you assimilate. There's no beating around the bush here. The book straight up says it. They're the Borg. They're just the Borg from Star Trek. They want to bring you into their giant hive mind thing with computer. But this history for Iteration X, and it's a nice part about Iteration X, they're just simple. They're not that crazy. Their big thing is construction, creation, and they're engineers. This goes into their magic spheres, which are forces, time, and matter, and they express this in many different ways. One of the ways they can express time magic is by doing math, where they will create a simulation or a probability engine to be like, what's this enemy gonna do? What's their next step? And they're really accurate with it. Another big thing, their large role, is their R&D. If you need a cool ass laser gun, you go to Iteration X. You want to make a robot to infiltrate something and keep watch? boom, Iteration X. You literally just want to take out a dude and send a Terminator after him. Guess who? Iteration X. That's all their shit. Their agents are well kitted. They're very dangerous because of that. They are in the forefront of techno science. It is nice. It is nice how simple. I still think the Syndicate is like my favorite boys. However, it's chill to just have a group that's like, what is the image in your head you think of when you think of Techno Mage? It's them. They're so simple. That's also important to say because it's the Technocracy. They're not great. No faction in World of Darkness is good. And the idea of Iteration X is they want to ascend humanity through machine and through the technological. This might sound cool. Hell yeah, I get some robot parts. I want a robot arm. I want a grapple hook. I want a robot eye, and I have better perception, all that shit. Sounds great. It's just like their goal is to wrap consensus in whatever paradigm they want and to root out reality deviants. And what is the best way to make sure the masses believe what you want them to believe? Let's put a brain chip in them and control all their thoughts. It's just important, I think, especially for Mage. Mage hits this, I think, the hardest. A lot of groups have something on paper that is really sick, but you have to also keep in your mind the worst case application of whatever they do, because they're going to try it. They're going to do it. They're going to claim to be the good guy while doing something horrible. Are there people who are doing something like actually noble? Yeah, 100%. I bet there's a bunch of actual Iteration X members who are introducing slowly really, really good like prosthetic technology into our world. There are people out there who have like lost an arm, lost a leg, and through these strives are able to get something to help that. The actual like science of you getting technology to help people is a good thing. It's just a double-edged sword. Because while Iteration X can do that, they can make prosthetics, they can grant hearing aids, they can do all this really big advancements, they can also just make the fucking atom bomb, which it's a little implied that they were involved with it. They weren't literally, I have become death, destroyer of worlds, but they probably helped a little bit. Yeah, that's about it. First and foremost, I want to thank all my channel members to make these videos possible. And a huge, huge shout out to my top tier channel members. That being Eric Sheriff, Mega Cadron, Pork Chomp, and Czar Shadow. Thank you all so much. It means a lot. But yeah, I'll probably come back with a tradition. I've been on a vampire kick a little too long. I want to talk about Mage for a bit. But anyways, like, comment, subscribe, do that YouTube things, join membership. See ya.